and we made donuts.
You made donuts?
And bread for supermarket.
Yeah. Donuts is in like the
American?
American Donuts,
Oh, okay,
yeah. She
wow.
made that for 4 years. We were under investigation because why would the most important man in the world
Yeah.
visit this really tiny sandwich shop
Yeah.
with street
Interesting.
kids?
Yeah.
So it must be something.
Wow.
He must be the CIA. He must be, all that
No.
kind of stuff. And I
Yeah.
said, yeah, Culinary Institute of Australia. So this one particular kid who was a street kid who was trying shoes.
Yeah.
He was very sick one day, and
Yeah.
I canceled my tour, took him to hospital, and he had to be overnighted. And then when he got better, he looked me straight in the eye, and he asked me a very simple question that I wasn't able to answer. He said, "What do you want from all this?"
Other than that, like no pressure. You've probably done beer talks in this, but it's just like to here to have fun.
Sure, that's the main thing.
Boom. We got to do our clap though.
Jimmy, how are ya?
I'm well, Bal, and you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just getting over a little flu, cold, and getting my voice back. So it's nice. Nice to talk again.
Man. Well, for one of us.
What do you mean? You don't like me talking?
Yeah, I kind of like you when you're quiet.
Jimmy, can I ask you though?
Yeah.
Jimmy Fama. Is Jimmy short for James?
Do you know, it's my brother-in-law who's actually from the States,
Yeah.
and he named me Jimmy when I was about three years old.
Okay.
And he actually just passed away last week.
Oh, sorry to hear
But no, that's fine. So it's always been Jimmy. It's never James or the Jim or
Yeah.
things like this. It's always been Jimmy.
Even like growing up in Australia, there's no Jimbo or...
Do you know? It's for a period of time. My name was John because I went to a Catholic school.
Right, okay.
And my they wouldn't accept Jimmy as a name.
Right, okay.
So I've been very conservative
Yeah.
Catholic school. So I was named after John Baptist.
Yeah.
If you follow our religion was Catholic.
Yeah.
And so that's what my name. So throughout high school, my name was John.
Wow.
And then as soon as I left school,
Yeah.
I changed it back to
Right
Jimmy.
back
Didn't
to
want to
Jimmy.
stick?
Yeah, John is just too. I don't know. It's something wrong there. I don't look like a John.
Is that like your type of family though, where like everybody has like their birth certificate name, but then everybody has like their nickname?
My baptism certificate says John,
Right.
but everything else says Jimmy.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody else like that in your family though? Like my family, I don't think we call anybody by like their real name. Like my older brother's name's Mickey, but we call him T.
Oh wow, there's nicknames. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only my sister who's 2 years older than I am. She's the only one that I call girlfriend. That's her only nickname.
I guess we go through a little bit of background. You were born in Vietnam, Saigon,
That's correct.
and then I guess your family migrated to Sydney, Australia.
That's correct.
But then I heard that before even Australia, it was via Singapore, Saudi Arabia. Is that
That's
right?
correct. Yeah.
How
a-
does that happen?
Were the flights limited back then, man? Like that's a long way around to go to Sydney.
So my father is Korean, so I'm half Korean.
Wow, yes.
So I was born here.
Yeah.
So I have a very interesting background. So my mom's actually from the north,
Right.
and if you go through history, you find that a lot of northerner would promise a lot of tax-free land down south.
Okay.
There's a huge exodus at that time called Northern 54.
Yeah.
So my mom was one of them.
Okay.
And so all of us, all six of her children, were born in Ho Chi Minh.
Yeah.
And I was the last one. I'm the youngest, and
Yeah.
my father's Korean.
Yeah.
So pretty much in 1970, anyone who fought in the South pretty much knew that the North has won. And,
Yeah.
And so we, like a lot of people in the South, trying to find ways to
Yeah.
to escape. And my family was one of them. So I was born in 1972. In 1974, we left
Yeah.
before
Just
the
before,
fall of Saigon. And we went to Singapore because that was the immediate place. Because my sister and myself were were the children of my father, who's Korean.
Okay.
My other siblings is Vietnamese father,
Yeah.
so they couldn't leave.
Yeah.
So she went to Singapore to try to get them over by boat,
Yeah.
and around the early 80s, it's known as the boat people.
Yeah.
But we left before that.
Yeah.
And then after that, after a couple of years in Singapore, my mom followed my dad,
Yeah.
who was an architect.
Ah, right.
So he had a job in Saudi Arabia, a place called
okay.
Riyadh,
Yeah.
and so we all moved there,
Yeah.
and we made donuts.
You made donuts?
and bread for supermarket.
Yeah. Donuts is in like the
American?
American donuts,
Oh, okay,
yeah. She
wow.
made that, and it
So
sells really
multicultural.
well. And she decided to after 3.5 years,
Yeah.
she wanted us to have an education. So we're the only, my sister and I are the only one who actually been sent to an international school. My other
okay.
siblings
Right.
didn't have access to education, so she decided to go to Australia.
okay.
And so we came here on Christmas, 1980.
Wow.
So I was at that time was 8 years old. Yeah,
When you got to Sydney. Nice.
that's correct.
What happened to the donut shop though? Did you take it to Sydney?
It's
as well?
actually it's not a donut shop. We made it from home and we deliver.
Yeah.
So my middle brother
Yeah.
delivered them to the supermarkets. So
Yeah.
a couple of supermarkets that we and actually through the supermarket
Yeah.
was where my brother-in-law met my sister.
Oh, wow.
So he went
Yeah.
to buy some groceries and
Yeah.
met her, and then so they've been married for 42 years, and he passed away last week. Yeah.
That's such a classic immigrant story where you go to another country and you start business from home and
That's correct.
eventually it just goes somewhere like amazing.
Right.
So cool. But Saudi Arabia was like something I never thought about.
Yeah, Saudi
it's
Arabia.
Such a cool
yeah.
story.
And we grew up in an American compound.
Yeah.
So we were surrounded a lot
Yeah.
with Americans, and that's why I got a little bit of American twang to things.
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
So I guess food growing up, Vietnamese, Korean dad, Singapore, Saudi Arabia. What did you grow up eating?
So we
Donuts.
We've been donuts and bread. No, we've been very lucky. I guess my mom cooks a lot of Asian food. So,
Okay.
a mix of Korean and,
Yeah.
and Vietnamese food and things like that, right?
Yeah.
She's a really good cook as well.
Yeah.
And but when we arrived in Australia, she had to be a mother and a father because they separated at that
Okay.
time. So we pretty much got to cook our own.
Okay.
So we have to experiment and
Yeah.
do different things or whatever's in the fridge and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's where I came to love about food
Yeah.
and being more creative and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not that good in the kitchen, but
Yeah.
I can cook pretty much a lot of the meals. And growing up in Australia, as you know, Val, we're very it's a melting pot of
Yeah.
so many culture.
Yeah.
So you can have Italian food one day, and you can go and have Thai food the next day,
Yeah.
etc. So we grew up with that kind
Yeah.
of culture. So I guess it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I always like to ask is what was your lunchbox like back then?
Lunchbox was I volunteer in a canteen, so I was very lucky. I had like a sausage roll.
Oh yeah, I
and
could go with sausage roll
on
right now.
on a bread roll, and
Yeah.
you have your tomato sauce at that
Yeah.
time, and we and then you can sometimes you just get chips and
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So I grew up in a canteen. So I volunteer for many years in the
Yeah.
canteen. So that's
Yeah.
where I get my free lunch.
I guess it's always been in the blood. I guess that the volunteering stuff, like always trying to do something.
Yeah,
So
I grew up, 40-hour famine. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you know from the
Yeah.
World Vision, but we have to sort of like
Yeah.
eat barley sugar and
Yeah.
and fast for
Yeah.
about 2 days and all that, and then to raise money. So
Yeah.
it's always been that.
always been with
within-
you.
Yeah.
For our listeners, you are the founder, CEO of Koto, No One Teach One. So can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So Koto is Vietnam's very first social enterprise.
Yeah.
And we have been around since 1999.
Wow.
So we're about to celebrate next year our 25th anniversary.
Wow. Awesome.
And
Congratulations.
we basically taken disadvantaged at risk youth,
Yeah.
and put them on this 2-year journey
Yeah.
to transform their life permanently through life skills, English training, and vocational training, which is accredited through our Australian vocational education training known as VET.
Yeah.
But what more the makes Kodo unique, I guess, is we provide them a pathway.
Yeah.
So after they finish the 2-year program, they can go on. They can go on to do other things, further study or work overseas, and
Yeah.
or their own businesses and
Yeah.
things like that, and build a community
Yeah.
around that. So it's So we've been doing that for about 24 years now.
24 going on 25, and you've seen a big success from it. Like it's been very successful.
That's correct, but not without its challenges as well. Because being the first, people say that, oh wow, look at you, your first social enterprises. But in put into perspective, when we started this, we started in the capital,
Right.
and if you start in the capital, where in those days you're either an NGO or you're a business. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as a business for social impact.
Yeah.
So you have this really dark cloud around you.
Yeah.
Where just always under constant supervision
Yeah.
and monitoring,
Yeah.
and then on top of that you do a trade, which is cooking,
Yeah.
where people think that everyone can cook.
Yeah.
So it's not as popular as it is today.
Yeah.
But in those days, like, why would you go and do a cooking course?
Yeah.
And then you put girls working and behind the bar and do
Yeah.
servicing.
Yeah.
Then that's just give out all sorts of really bad perception.
Yeah.
That go work in a bar and all that kind of stuff. So we had a lot of difficulties, and because you're a social enterprise, you're trying to create people change mindsets, and
Yeah.
this is something we've been on a crusade for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Is that it's about charity, is not clarity is not about charity, whereby
Great quote.
where we're saying to people that hey, let's just empower people and give them dignity and self-respect.
Yeah.
And that's how you can break the cycle of poverty, and not
Yeah.
just charity, like
Yeah.
a handout
Okay.
and things
Yeah.
like that. So and getting this as the community or our society
Yeah.
to use social products and services
Yeah.
instead of because you got to eat.
Yeah.
So why not go where something
Yeah.
that is a worthy cause
Yeah.
that can actually provide opportunities and impact.
How did I always struggle this when I'm trying to do projects, is coming up with a name. Like we struggled for a bit coming up with Broken Rice. Like we were just at it for ages. But
It's a great name.
Yeah. Because we're broken people.
Koto
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
stands for No One Teach One.
That's correct.
That's so catchy and it's just so perfect. But how did you even come up with that?
So we, when I first started, so the history behind it is that I've never intended to come over to Vietnam trying to do a big project.
Yeah.
I work in tourism, so to send me back, I went on a family trip, which is investigating, hotels and service and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I went for a walk. I call it the walk that changed my life. I met a couple of street kids.
Okay.
That eventually became 60.
Yeah.
That I took out for pho.
Yeah.
Which is meal.
Yeah.
And you hear so many horrific stories.
Yeah.
The tipping point was one girl that I've met throughout the 2 weeks I was there. That was always look very angry, and she sees me, she goes, "Give me money," and
Yeah.
and that particular day she ran around a circle where we're sitting having pho.
Yeah.
And she said, Mommy, I'll try harder tomorrow, because she didn't make the quota, and her mom was somewhere nearby
Yeah.
with a steel pipe beating her.
Oh my God.
And so I decided I want to be the change that I want to see in the world, and not be the typical, oh, that was tragic, I'm going to go home and send money back.
Yeah.
So I came back 3 months later with $200 in my pocket, read 2 books on Vietnam,
Yeah.
and got a job as a tour leader.
Yeah.
And the first the first 3 years of my journey was pretty much the classic, the Chinese proverb of give a man a fish today.
Yeah.
So what I did was I gave them fishes to all the kids that I met throughout the journey in Southeast Asia,
Yeah.
wherever I travel, and I found that didn't work.
Yeah.
So after 3.5 years, those same kids told me that they've been taking me for a ride. and they need a bit more.
Yeah.
They need a job. So
Yeah.
this one particular kid who was a street kid who was shine shoes.
Yeah.
He was very sick one day, and
Yeah.
I canceled my tour, took him to hospital, and he had to be overnighted. And then when he got better, he looked me straight in the eye and he asked me a very simple question that I wasn't able to answer. He said, "What do you want from all this?"
Yeah.
You know, in our culture where it's about family, and you're not my family, you're not blood. Why do you do this?
Yeah.
And it was a very simple question, but you know what? I wasn't able to answer him.
Yeah.
So I went away, thought about 3 months later, I came back and I told him that I want him to be the best person he can be,
Yeah.
and then to pay it forward. And the only way to break this cycle is through education.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about formal education. It could be
Yeah.
a non-formal education. But as long as you keep learning and understanding and your knowledge, then you don't have to be afraid.
Yeah.
And so if you know one,
Yeah.
then you should teach one. And that's how
Right.
it began.
Okay, there we go.
That's so good.
Yeah, so that's just...
It just comes, right? So sometimes it's like, yeah, you try to force yourself to think of something, but then naturally through regression, time will just sort it out.
Can I tell you about it? Everything about Kodo is organic.
Yeah.
It's nothing that you just sit down and you say, you know, I read this in this book that says that I should do this and all that.
Yeah.
So everything is through mistakes.
Yeah.
Everything is
Okay.
through a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Right.
And got us here.
Right. I mean, even your story right now, like when you say the story, it seems like it progressed very fastly, but that was over 3 years.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So it does take time.
3.5 years. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then in 1999, we opened our first sandwich shop, which was 9 kids, 3 kids. And it was a nightmare. You know, we make terrible milkshakes. And we have to get Uncle Toby cake mix and make the poppy seed cake.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know how to make cake.
Yeah.
And no one was teaching us. You know, it wasn't like, you know, your apps you can look up and
Yeah.
the recipe. So we're trying to get people to teach us, and no one did.
Yeah.
It's 99. You didn't even have internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wow.
Not even a mobile phone.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
Oh, wow.
So if you can picture all that,
Yeah.
and then after we opened 2 months, we had President Clinton
Yeah.
came. He was his last term,
Got a sweet tooth.
and he came to Kodo,
Yeah.
and it was the most unforgettable, life-changing experience because they shut the whole street down.
Yeah.
It was the first U.S. president to ever visit the North, so it's quite monumental, right? But so the experience was something that is worth, you know, cherished forever.
Yeah.
But what happened is straight after that is for 4 years we were under investigation because, you know, why would the most important man in the world
Yeah.
visit this really tiny sandwich shop
Yeah.
with street
Interesting.
kids?
Yeah.
So it must be something.
Wow.
He must be the CIA. He must be, you know, all that
no.
kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I said, yeah, Culinary Institute Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so it's a really unforgettable. But you know what? I'm very glad that they did that because they vetted us from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And so we wouldn't be here today. We didn't have that support. You know?
Yeah.
And of course, they registered as being the first social enterprise and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Shout out to Bill.
Shout out to Arkansas.
Oh, if you-
Woo! Pig suey!
Hugs, yeah.
So you know, you're saying you were, you know, to begin with, you were, I guess, taking in a lot of kids, but now you're moving in towards like street kids, but you're moving towards. I heard that it's more, I guess, juveniles.
Yeah.
Yeah, like working with like more troubled kids who are, I guess, within the correctional service
Yeah.
system. So, what was the change for that?
If you look at the social economics of Vietnam,
Yeah.
the last 25 years or so, in those days is where 80% live under $1 a day.
Yeah,
Where
okay.
they send their children, their children, having a lot of children in the family is their social insurance.
Yeah.
So they send their children to work.
Yeah.
And then send the money home.
Yeah.
Where now you have a very different landscape.
Yeah.
Where you have a lot of kids who come from, because broken family
Yeah.
that we have in Australia and the States as well.
Yeah.
Is whereby, you know, the parents are drug pushers, been in prison.
Right,
They've
okay.
been physically and sexually abused.
Right.
We work with also the Australian government,
Yeah.
DFAT,
Yeah.
for the women economic empowerment. So,
Okay.
as you know, women, everyone knows this, right? Women don't have an equal voice in the world.
Yeah.
But in Vietnam, particularly as well.
Yeah.
So they don't. So what we're trying to do is work with. That's one of the Australian 2 top priorities is to give a platform
Yeah.
for women. So the Her Turn project,
Yeah.
which has been doing for 6-7 years
Yeah.
now, is to be able to create opportunity
Yeah.
for ethnic minority
Yeah.
women. And in Vietnam, there's 54 ethnic minorities.
Yeah.
So we're currently working about 15 of those
Yeah.
ethnic minorities. And can I say that it's not easy for girls to be sent to the city from the mountainous area.
That's what I was about to ask.
They
Yeah.
trust you that easily. And we built that over 10 years.
Yeah.
So now 68% of our students
Yeah.
are from ethnic minority,
Yeah.
and 60% are women.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of women empowerment as well.
What I find really special of what Koto does is like you think you try to I guess classify it as well as any culinary school or whatnot. You're just teaching I guess someone how to cook, manage things. But I think what's really special about what you guys do is you provide them like life skills
That's correct.
through but just if you think about like growing up for these youths and juveniles, a lot of these things are taken away from them. So
That's correct.
you're instilling they might have anger issues. So how do you deal with that? Stress levels, just life skills that schools in general don't teach you at all.
That's correct.
So what was how do you come up with these programs? What support networks are in place for these?
I think, looking back about 20 years ago, I always wanted to build them a family. I didn't,
yeah.
The vocational training was always the catalyst
Yeah.
to get them from A to B, because I know they need a career, they need a future, all that kind of stuff, and build their confidence. But I wanted to build them every skills, because like any parents,
Yeah.
you want to send the kids out there in the world, and it's a very bad world,
Yeah.
prepared.
Yeah.
And I look back as what do they need
Yeah.
that require them to
Yeah.
be that prepared and skilled, empowered,
Yeah.
confidence, hospitality professionals. So
Yeah.
all this. So we have a 2-year undertaking where we put them in the living accommodations,
Okay.
where we surround them with so much of people
Yeah.
that care for them
Yeah.
and mentor them
Yeah.
and coach them.
So
Yeah.
first you had to give them like a stable home.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So the stable home is the stability. Number 2 is you give them self-worth and dignity. So we never use Kodo as a petting zoo for people to come.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to, we use the restaurant as where it's an interactive but very reciprocal relationship. We service you,
Yeah.
and then you give us, you pay for that service, and then we continue our operations
Okay.
thing. And the last one is the peer-to-peer, where the no one teach one is the older one teach the younger class, and the younger class teach the beginner class.
Oh, wow.
And then when they
Cool.
go out into the workforce,
Yeah.
which is, by the way, it's 1,500 now.
Yeah.
Val.
Yeah.
So we have
1,500 kids?
Yeah. So
Like,
we have all scattered across
Wow.
Vietnam, and all the 5-star,
Yeah.
all the head chefs, all the front of house directors of
Yeah.
So as soon as you say you're Kodo,
Yeah.
you have this instant access membership into, I'm from Kodo as well. Let me show you the ropes.
Right.
Let me help you.
Yeah.
So this no one teach one becomes thing. So you inspire them throughout the journey
Yeah.
to not give up on the path. But you're very you use a Western methodology and
Yeah.
applications and how you teach.
Yeah.
But then you apply a lot of Vietnamese culture
Yeah.
and tradition
Yeah.
into the everyday. Like
Yeah.
you know this, Bao, as well. If you pick up a bowl of rice, you have to ask permission
Yeah.
to your elders.
Yeah.
It's a sign of respect.
Yeah.
It's a thing. So all that is maintained at Kodo. They're Vietnamese. They will go and interact with Vietnamese, and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they're Vietnamese. So don't pretend for them to be, westernized or modernized and things like that. So everything that we do at home,
Yeah.
which is 50% of the learning, being disciplined, there's
Yeah.
curfew, they will have fights with their siblings, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It's part of their whole learning journey
Wow,
to
it's incredible.
complete them at the end.
Yeah.
And I think there's something similar that where you have like an older student that almost takes on a younger student and shows them the rope, and you create
Mentorship.
this community. And they've done something similar in New York City, I do believe.
Yep.
And it just was amazing, just the retention you get.
That's
like
correct.
kids just don't drop out because they don't want to leave this community.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's just amazing, the retention rate.
So, Max, I find that this is one of our secret ingredients is that you and I can say we're the best program in the world, but it's not as effective as someone who peer-to-peer.
Right, close to age.
Someone close to their age, someone who's been to the program, someone who say, I know what it's like because I used to sit where you sit.
Yeah.
And trust me. And 95% of our restaurant staff or our enterprise staff are Kodo alumni.
Yeah.
Right.
So this whole mentorship and this whole role model is consistently placed strategically and deliberately around the Kodo program. So, and then you have a lot of guest chefs who come back who are chefs, popular and well-known chefs who are alumni. And so they can say, look at me.
I think I was very, I was fortunate enough to spend some time in Hong Kong, work there a little bit, and I was fortunate enough to bring Koto over. We did a couple of events together, and it really inspired me to do more and try to provide more with others. And then with the help of Black Sheep, we signed up with I can't remember what the actual program was. Basically, it was a correctional place, and we took in some juveniles that were a bit troubled, but provided them opportunities as chefs.
Yeah.
But I think I took more than I knew what was happening because, I was still dealing with my own shit, trying to run a restaurant, my first ever restaurants, dealing with current staff, dealing with business partners. There was just so much going on in my head, but I just saw an opportunity to maybe because we were doing events and you brought some of your kids over and I had they inspired me themselves, I was like, maybe can do something here. But then, I had these teenagers and kids come into the kitchen and it was a bit more African chills. Some of the kids would, disappear during the break and I'd find them down the park drinking some beers. I was like, how do I deal with this? I just had no clue. It was just so much, it was so overwhelming, but I just knew that I had just to power on and just try to do something because everyone deserves a second chance, so, and it just needs someone to reach out. Unfortunately, we had to cut that program short because there was a lot of issues that just kept going on. And I think I was just too young and naive to really, try to tackle it. And I just sort of felt that because it wasn't successful, did I fail or did I don't know. I don't know how to take it, to be honest. So is there any, advice you can give anyone that's just trying to help others in some, whether it be small or large or in any form of capacity? Is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? Should you do it? Should you not do it?
Sure. I think first of all, excuse me. First of all, to commend you on making an effort. I guess that's more than a lot of people would. When they start thinking about the kind of trouble they're buying, they usually give up.
Yeah.
And this is so you go on that extra step to doing it.
Yeah.
I think what you don't realize, and it's not your fault,
Yeah.
is that part of their lifelong learning, half of it actually comes from their life skills, their soft skills, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The vocational is just one thing, but you got to change their mindset, their attitude. The general consensus when we sent our students at the end of the 2 years to all the 5-star resorts and all that, the general consensus is that our students have this really good attitude.
Yeah.
And that's very super important. And you know this in hospitality, Val, where when you say that I'm willing to learn, and I have the applications, I have the discipline to work at 8 hours, 12-hour sheet. Where street kids don't have that. Because they don't have that discipline. And it's not their fault. It's just they come from a broken system. And they need to be retrained, reprogrammed into their habits. And a lot of people don't realize that. And and a lot of people approach this as a charity again. It's a charity approach that, so they're not stupid. They know. When you give them, there's a difference between you treating them as equal or you treat them as someone who you want to help. So it's a very different approach. And for a lot of students, unfortunately, when you're poor and you're street kids, it comes as a package. They don't have the foresight to see longer
Yeah.
or further down.
Yeah.
They only see what's that instant gratification, instant noodle
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah.
So they have to immediately want something.
Yeah.
And so the advice is that work with institute that specialize in that,
Yeah.
and then you can have a much more better results.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what they do half the time.
Yeah.
Because when they finish where they work with you, they go back to their same environment.
Yeah.
And that environment can be, abusive.
Yeah.
Can be drug taking.
Yeah.
And alcoholic.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. So it's very important that you keep it consistent.
Yeah, because it was like one of the chefs I was working. I guess he broken up with his girlfriend or something. He was taking it really bad, and I think back at where he was staying, it wasn't like the best environment. I think he was like getting beat up or something like that. And I'm trying to get this into, and I'm trying to talk to his, I guess, probation officer. Like, we're trying to do this program together, but they're not giving me any like, hey, I'm letting you know this is happening. Can you like, I guess, work with me on this? Like, how do we make this environment better for him? Like, you're coming to us, you're wanting our restaurants to help them. There's only so much we can do because like our hours are different. Then there's after work hours. Like, what are you guys providing over there? Yeah. And it was just this broken, like you said, it's a broken system. But everyone needs to work together somehow. And
Yeah.
That's correct.
and for me, I was like, so much to deal with. I was like, I thought me opening a restaurant was just getting in the kitchen, just cooking something, but I felt like I was being a dad or an uncle or a counselor, and I just wasn't ready for that. Maybe I'm better for it now, just to learning what those through. But I hope these chefs that came through, I think they're doing better. But I don't know, like we've lost touch. But it was every time I work with the students from Koto, they just inspire me so much more that eventually I'd love to do more work with it and then provide something.
So, behind the smile, there's so many people, from the house mothers to the counselor to the bus driver to the security guy. Everyone has a role to play to build this environment of nurtured, but disciplined kind of thing, so they don't get away with little things. And that's how you grow. So little things we put in the system that we can monitor, but also to let them say, hey, we'll give you an inch, but don't take a mile.
Right. It's kind of, do you have trouble finding the balance between like empathy, understanding where they are in life and what they're going through, but also like laying boundaries and helping people grow and giving them task or discipline or anything like that?
Like I said, we've taken, girls from the mountain. Mm-hmm. They don't even know what a concept of a can opener is.
Right.
So hospitality, no English, and all that. That's not the prerequisite to get into Koto. You just have to have a really good attitude that you're ready to make that change. From day one, we told them this is the first day for the rest of your life.
Right.
Begin the journey. So what was the question?
No, you're good. I was just curious. Like, I think it's hard to balance like just like when you're teaching these people and you're helping them through life, because like you were talking about, like Bao had a guy that, maybe he's getting abused and he's breaking up with his girlfriend. It's like, how are you supposed to be hard on somebody? Like, I need you to do this, this, and this when you know what they're going through.
Yeah. I think for us is always about, we don't, from day one, we don't sit down and say, are you okay? You want to talk about it?
Right.
Because like, again, just going back about this whole charity approach, we say that today is a present we're going to give you, it's a gift. And then we're going to work towards tomorrow. If you're going to take all this baggage from yesterday with you, then you need to, at some point, offload.
Right.
And we're here for you to help you. But we're not going to go and say, we want to talk about it now, because there's so much to do building you to where you should be.
That's cool.
And so we don't usually sit down and say, let's talk about it, and that kind of stuff. Does it make sense, man?
Right. Yeah. No, I got you. No, I like that. I appreciate that.
We take a little break. So what's next for Koto?
We've been so lucky. After COVID, it devastated us. So we basically downsized. We closed our restaurant and all that. So the last 2 years we're rebuilding again. So we moved to our new restaurant. So we're back to our original size, 6 floors.
Yeah.
That hopefully will get us back to sustainability.
And whereabouts in Hanoi is that?
It's still in Van Miew. I
Okay.
think Van Miew which is a temple of literature, is a very famous tourist site.
Yeah.
We probably, I think that, Van Miew has always been, our history is there.
Yeah.
I remember the day we moved back, we got the neighbors coming to us and say, welcome home.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was very, very touching. And we, last year we started the Viet Harvest, which is a model from Australia,
Yes.
Oz Harvest. So it's food rescue. We're working with our alumni to leadership building.
Yeah.
Women economic empowerment.
Yeah.
So we want to build an ecosystem of impact
Yeah.
while educating or raising awareness and advocacy on surrounding impact work.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's clarity, not charity.
Yeah.
And trying to get more of the young generations to start using social products and services.
Yeah.
So that's how it says it takes a village to raise a child, and that's
Yeah.
the only way we're going to reach sustainability is to be able to do that. And while we motivate more social entrepreneurs to start their own business, whether it's technology, environments, education, or community.
Yeah.
So we want to say, Val, in about 5 years' time, that through this model, Koto,
Yeah.
that we educate over 500 disadvantaged youth.
Wow.
We helped, 50 women in leadership.
Yeah.
We've trained over 100 women per year in community-based tourism in the hill tribes.
Yeah.
We rescue, 100 tons of food waste.
Yeah.
We fed and nourished over 1 million people.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. So that's, to me, is impact. And
Yeah.
it's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, of course.
For sure.
But, we have some wonderful partners
Yeah.
that's now coming on board, and we're building the brand.
Yeah.
And hopefully that together as a community, they can help Kodo reach there.
Amazing. Nice. Yeah. Well, I guess recently we did the CEO cook-off at
That's right.
the Intercon. That was an amazing event.
But can I say, you're pretty amazing as well, Bao.
Who, me? No.
Yeah. I know. It's just I don't say this very often, but thank you so much for being a part of that, because
it's
you're
my absolute
instrumental
pleasure.
putting the other 9 chefs, celebrity chefs, all together, and they all have their.
Yeah, different personalities.
Come on, Jimmy.
So
That hat's already pretty tight on Val's head.
So,
For me, it was actually hilarious because I'm on the other side now. Because when people get me to do events, I'm like quite hard to get a hold of, and doesn't reply much. And then I'm on the other side. I was like, can you guys just reply to me? Like, I need this, I need that. Like, what do you do? What are you cooking? I need your recipes. I need your ingredients. Nobody's replying to me. I was just like, oh, I know what it feels like
Called
now.
karma.
Now, karma. Now, I'm trying to be better. I know how it feels. So whenever I ask me for something, I'm like, okay, this is be more organized and tell them like this is what I need and things like that. So,
but at the end of the day, we want to say thank you for with your accomplishments and what you've done. And we met this many years in Hong Kong, and you raise funds for us. You reach out to us and say, hey, come over. We want to raise some funds through your restaurant, La Gargon. Just little things like that, just an indication of the type of person that you are about, and which is trying to, even though you have a little bit of tie to Vietnam, but now that you're here, you want to do more.
Yeah.
And they said, don't listen to what I say, but watch what I do.
Yeah.
And you're pretty much that guy. So thank you.
I think for me, it's been a pretty crazy ride or journey. Like, I never imagined living in Vietnam. It never crossed my mind.
Yeah,
Even though
I tried to convince you many years.
yeah, right. We've always talked about this. I don't know why. It just never crossed my mind. Like, come here for a bit of work or a holiday and visit family. I just don't know why. But then, a lot of people. COVID was a massive blessing for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say I got stuck here, but
Because you met me.
the co-host. It just provided me I don't want to say I was locked here or stuck here. It was a blessing. It provided me with this opportunity, this clarity that I'm still searching for. I'm still looking for, and it's been. And again, for me, it's not a destination. It's a journey. Like I'll figure out where I'm going, what I'm meant to be doing, and through projects here and there, and just constantly meeting and networking and doing events like the CEO Cohort. I think I'll just become better for it, and hopefully with those skill sets and learning, I can give back somehow. Because again, this isn't a. I can never say I'm Vietnamese because I wasn't born here, but I'm very grateful that I get the opportunity to be here right now. So whatever I can do, I just do.
Thank you. And I just want to add one thing from my experience. Growing up, living in Vietnam, and you have this love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
On days where you just love Vietnam, and on days where you just want a comfortability of where you come from and where you grew up. But I can tell you I'm a better person for it because I lived in Vietnam. Had I lived in Australia, I wouldn't be as where I am today.
Yeah,
and I'm not
right.
talking about Kodo.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just more culture, more worldly, more giving.
Yeah.
And I find that, in our Western culture, we're very self-centered.
Yeah.
All about me and, and my, I want to live a long life and who knows, But in Vietnam, you find that, people are just so busy getting on with life.
Yeah.
And just living and living really and not existing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's a great thing as well. And then hopefully you find your purpose
Yeah.
here. Because purpose is not about work, it's about, finding something that really means something to you.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Thank you. I guess we try to keep it light now. Don't have a segment for this. I want to come up with a segment, but I'm just going to ask you a couple of lighthearted questions and get some, what your thoughts are, or
Just try to figure out who you are as a person too.
in the
IQ test.
no, not like that.
Is he a smart?
Possibly. In the multiverse, if
Marvel.
what would Jimmy be in
Another
in
dimension.
another dimension.
Oh, wow. And then the multiverse where Jimmy would be. A priest.
A priest?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that lately I've just been coming closer to faith.
Yeah.
And as you grow older, you find that, that's really important
Yeah.
because you start thinking about what happened
Yeah.
the next 10, 15, 20 years or so. And probably, when you're young and you're naive and you're kind of sort of always busy, you kind of not think about that so
Yeah.
much. But now you're just kind of starting to think that. So
Cool. Korean, Vietnamese, Australian. Rate those three cuisines from first to third.
when I go home to Australia, list them.
I want
Yeah.
1 to 3. You want
1 to
favorite to least favorite? 1, 2, 3.
My favorite would be Vietnamese caramelized pork.
Okay.
Like northern style because your mom's from the north, probably.
No, actually like southern.
Oh.
Believe it or not, I cooked all my food southern.
Oh, really?
Has a bit more sugary taste sweeter taste
nice.
to the northern.
Okay.
I actually, sorry for any listeners knowing that I actually don't like northern food a lot.
Oh no.
I like southern, but I'm very lucky because I get to do quite a different cuisine
Right.
Yeah.
all the time. So Vietnamese food first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Korean food.
We'll see you, Australia.
So
I had a feeling we'll go this way.
Korean food. So I love my kimchi jjigae.
Oh,
which is
kimchi jjigae.
which is the kimchi soup.
Yeah.
Right.
And I love my bulgogi as well. and
all the bantang with
kimbap
it.
and all that kind of stuff as well. And whenever I'm home, there's 3 things that I always on my thing. So I will stop at a service station. I would get a 420 pie
Oh, yeah.
with a squeezable tomato sauce.
Yeah.
That's be number 1.
Yeah.
And the other one is I would go and grab a Magnum.
Yeah, the ice cream.
They just launched over here. They had a huge party.
Is it really?
Last night, yeah.
Yeah.
Almond.
on the weekend.
Almond flavor,
Yeah.
Magnum.
Yeah.
And then the number 3 is I would grab a Gatorade.
A Gatorade. Man, threw me for a loop there with the Gatorade. Yeah.
Exactly. So I know it's just so meat pie. Meat pie is
love
the
it.
way to go.
You were
But
talking about sausage rolls.
It's really funny when you go home, right? 3 things begin to happen to me
Yeah.
now. Is number 1 is welcome to our country.
Yeah, so bad.
It's sort of like welcome to our country when people who don't know you.
Yeah.
Number 2 is come over to dinner, and they cook Vietnamese food.
Yeah.
Is it funny?
Yeah.
It's sort of like, he must like Vietnamese food, so let's do Vietnamese food.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have our guests from Vietnam.
Yeah.
And what's number 3? I can't think of it right now, but it's really funny. It's just always centered around, quite different to what you.
Yeah.
So it's different.
Do you have a favorite Aussie slang?
She be right, mate.
Be
Do you,
right, mate.
do you try to like throw in like those slangs when you're with the kids so they can pick up that as well? Because I try to do it. Everyone's like, "What is he on about?" Because I have this trouble with him. He's like, he doesn't know what I'm talking about.
I used the word bloody a lot.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
And all that is very, very Australian.
Yeah.
No, the trainees doesn't pick up on that
No.
because we usually because I speak fluent Vietnamese, so
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
so I speak with them in Vietnamese
Yeah.
and hardly ever
Yeah.
in English.
Does tomato sauce go in a cupboard or a fridge?
Fridge.
Fridge.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, I'm a cupboard person because there's so much
Is it really?
preservative with it. I don't think it would survive anyway.
I just kinda
And
like the
cold.
temperature.
Like you think about it, you have a hot pie, cold sauce. It's weird.
Can I
It
tell
does
you?
count, I guess.
Can I tell you?
temperature-wise.
There's a couple of things I get at Woolworths, and then I
Yeah.
bring it over.
What is
and
that?
Heinz ketchup was one of them.
Heinz ketchup is
They're just so
delicious.
bloody. They're
Yeah.
so bloody expensive here.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But it
I
tastes
get
different here.
Yeah, because actually, it's like a lot of Southeast Asia, though their ketchup is like it's like banana ketchup.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Actually, thinking of Max, right? I yesterday I was just messaged because my sister's coming over in 2 days, and I said, "Can you get me the chipotle sauce?
Yeah.
the spicy one."
Yeah, hot sauce.
Vegemite, friend or foe?
Friend.
Nice.
Oh, how much? Like, how do you put your Vegemite? Is it like
Toast, Vegemite, tomato, and melted cheese on
Oh
the
wow, gourmet.
man? Al just does
Damn.
butter.
I just
Is
do
it
butter,
really?
butter
Yeah.
toast.
Oh,
It's like
wow.
a good proportion of almost 1-to-1 butter and Vegemite.
Some put avocado, but I don't like avocado.
Avocado
so-
Vegemite sounds
At all, you don't
wild.
like avocado at all.
No. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's not drinking like avocado smoothies at night in Vietnam.
You're not doing the avocado
There's
smoothie.
no avocado smoothie for me.
Favorite beer?
I don't drink, so I don't have an alcohol.
right.
Wine. I don't. Yeah, it's really just funny. I'm probably the most unsocial person you can have around because I'm always sober.
Yeah.
So,
But you get them with yours, so you see
No
you get a
beer.
lot
Actually,
of
what it
fun
is you're
stories.
just very outgoing. You don't need the alcohol. I need the alcohol.
but actually, we just recently stocked Saigon cider.
Yeah.
Which has the apple
Right.
and ginger flavor cider. I
Yeah.
kind of like that a little bit
Yeah.
because it has a bit of that twist.
Right. Then what's your favorite go-to drink? Like in Vietnam, you have lots of things, right? You got like the
Kombucha.
sugarcane- Oh, kombucha, actually.
Yeah. So we make our own kombucha. We make
Yeah.
ginger kombucha. We make passion fruit. So we drink kombucha.
Yeah.
It's good. And of course, I love my cafe Seda.
Yeah.
Which is the Vietnamese
Yes.
iced coffee.
And I guess lastly, what's your go-to order at McDonald's?
Oh my God. I still, it's really funny because I still have this, this girl commercial that really stays in my head. Some commercial just stays with you forever. So this one girl in the commercial was Scott Hopscotch.
Tomato.
Yeah.
And she's got Big Mac, filet fish, quarter pounder, French fry, Coca-Cola, Tic Tac, McPhee Sunday, apple pie.
Big Mac Lane Fish, quarter pounder French fry, icy Coke, big shake sundaes, and apple pie. Big Mac Filet of fish, quarter pounder French fries, icy Coke, big shake sundaes, and apple pie. Down the Filet of fish.
Right? So it stays with me for like 30
Yeah.
bloody years. I mean. So if I go to Macca's, I would number one order the chicken nuggets
Yes.
with the sweet and sour and mustard sauce,
Yes.
and then the fries. That's
Oh,
it.
that's a
fries.
great order.
That's the thing. And I always get the apple pie for my mom because that's the only thing she eats in McDonald's. The
Apple pie.
Yeah.
How'd she get to love the apple pie? That's kind This is funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
That she picked up the apple pie.
Loves the
My
I think it's the crunch.
donuts.
Yeah.
Crunch outside.
Loves apple pie. Like she's full American.
Yeah, but I saw it on TikTok the other day on, India.
Yeah.
Right. They have, the Big Mac.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's made really spicy. So I didn't know that. I thought
Yeah.
that it's only one Big Mac, but there's Big Mac according to the culture.
Like a lot of
Can
Indian.
you bring me back one?
Yeah, I got you down. Like a lot of so the McDonald's change all over. Like if you're in Malaysia, they may have like, I don't know, like durian, whatever, or they may have like laksa or nasi lemak. And if
Yeah.
you're in India, like a lot of them won't sell beef.
Yeah.
So like their Big Mac may be a little different.
I thought that the essential stays the same consistently throughout the world, but it's only they run specials,
Right.
that according to that culture. But apparently, Big Mac is
Yeah.
Like Hong Kong used to have some cool stuff.
They got like the macaroni soups and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And they're actually the McDonald's in Hong Kong. Their fried chicken. They like these spicy wings are delicious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still not sponsored by McDonald's.
Usually I'll try to pull a plug, but not. I guess to finish off, a little segment we got to finish off is the last call. Any advice you want to, or any last words you want to provide share with our Broken Rice listeners of?
You've already dropped so many knowledge bombs already.
Yeah.
I think if you don't think of people that doing charity work. That is our responsibility. Is your bloody responsibility as well.
Yeah.
There's a new word that's very hot at the moment. It's called the ESG, environmental social governance.
Okay.
Where we're heading in the world right now, and it's a very fragile world we live in. The next 10 years or so, everyone, every corporates and every company has to have that impact.
Yeah.
So it's everyone's responsibility to look after our planet
Yeah.
and our community because we're so it's such a small and we're so connected now through technology.
Yeah.
Don't make an excuse that it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
And that's so noble of that person to do charity.
Yeah.
Because you can do everything. You don't have to do charity. You just have to do impact.
Yeah.
And I think get to it.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, Jimmy, thank you for joining us today and
Thank you,
Pleasure.
guys.
Real big
for
pleasure.
that chat.
Thank you for having me. It's just a pleasure to be one of the very big few, I don't know, how it's called, the beginners of the Broken Rice podcast.
Yeah. Thank you. And also, thank you for being the change in the world that we all need to think about and be inspired by. And thank you for the chat.
Much
And
appreciated.
Thank you.
That's all for us. Oh, yes. See you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.